I saw this video recently. It's a castle in Ireland which was destroyed in a storm about 20 years ago. You can clearly see how all the rooms and the spaces are all meant to go together. Now, you can't very well go around destroying buildings just to get a sense of how they function, but there is a drawing that architects use. It's called the sectional perspective, and this is one of my favorite kinds of drawings, and I use this one regularly. Let me show you what I mean. This is a stairs that I'm currently designing for a 200-year-old house in Edinburgh. You can see by looking straight at it, you get an idea of how it works. And from the outside, you kind of get a sense of that it's going from one floor to another. But, wait for it, the sectional perspective really gives you an idea of how this thing functions. So you can see that there's the lower floor and it swoops up to the upper floor. At the moment, there's a floor in here and we're going to take that out, and then this large tall space will be flooded with natural light. The sectional perspective gives you a sense of this that a flat two-dimensional drawing just doesn't. Here's another one. This is an extension to a house also in Edinburgh, and I finished building this a few months ago. And you get an idea when you look at the 3D drawing that it's a zinc-clad extension to the rear. That's the existing building, and we built this off the back of it. And that's the view from the rear garden. Looking in, we've got nice exposed timber beams. They're structural, they're not just, for fun and games, they're actually holding up the roof. But when you see the sectional perspective, you really get a sense of the space. It's not a particularly dramatic space, it's just one story, one room, but it's flooded with light from above and also from the garden, which is east facing, so it gets morning light as you're having your breakfast. This was really important to the clients. You couldn't just move the house around, you had to work with what you had, and the building faced east. This is where we were going to put the kitchen. We also wanted to make sure that it got as much light as possible. You can't go putting windows into the side because that's the neighbor's property there. So the only way to do this was by putting roof lights above. But the question was, before you committed to building this thing, is it actually going to get enough natural light? And these are photos taken just as construction was approaching completion. I haven't yet done formal, proper photographs or a walkthrough, but I will at some point. And this is the interior. And you get the idea. It does actually match up with what we had in our sectional perspective. And here we are in the mid-afternoon when the sun is just moving around the back of the buildings, that you're getting lots of natural light into the space. It works. The sectional perspective shows you what you're going to get in a way that might be difficult if you've never really had to deal with drawings before. It can be tricky for people to deal with 2D drawings. Most of my clients are lawyers and doctors and accountants. They deal with the written word. They find it difficult to imagine what a space is actually going to be like. The sectional perspective can really help lift this. You can actually still use the sectional perspective as a measured drawing. The point where you're cutting through the building can be drawn to scale, but everything that disappears off from that point can be a 1 or 2 point perspective. So it really does help show someone in advance what this thing's going to look like with some degree of reality, and it's reliable. So I like using a sectional perspective. Architects have been using it for hundreds of years. It's a great way of representing a space before you commit to actually building it.